So you might be hearing about rate buy downs and you're wondering, as a buyer, how does this help me in this real estate market? I'm Grant Barker, local mortgage banker here in Greenville, North Carolina. Let's jump right into it. So there's two different types of rate buy downs we're going to talk about today. The first one is permanent rate buy downs. The second is temporary rate buy downs. Let's start with permanent rate buy downs, as they're the most popular. With a permanent rate buy down, a client is paying a fee one time at closing to get a lower interest rate through the life of the loan. Sometimes it's referred to as discount points or buying down the interest rate. Some clients really love it. Some clients aren't crazy about it. Most clients are down the middle. I think it's easy to explain by looking at just some examples. Let's jump into it. All right, so I've got the chart built out. I've done this in such a way where I want this video to live on for a long time. And so you'll see for the interest rate examples, I've just placed an X for the starting point of the interest rate. So that might be 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever interest rates are in the future. I want this to be helpful for a long time. Let's start by looking at the interest rate with no discount points. So you can see there was the interest rate paying nothing. And then if you go down 1/8 of a percent, now I completely made these numbers up an example to get you started here, but you can see a little bit of discount points cost gets you 1/8% lower interest rate. When we go to 1/4% drop in the interest rate, a little bit more cost in discount points, and so forth. The cost climbs while the interest rate goes down. An important consideration with discount points is the break even. When we think about you get a lower interest rate, you've paid a fee up front for that, at what point by those monthly savings do you break even on that original cost that you paid? It's an important consideration that we want to look at every time we talk about discount points. Now let's move on to temporary rate buy downs. Temporary rate buy downs are paid for by somebody other than the buyer, typically paid for by a seller or a builder, and it's paying for the difference of interest that you're going to receive as a buyer for the first year or for the first 2 years of the loan. There's a 1-year buy down and there's a 2-year buy down. A 1-year buy down, the interest rate is 1% less for that first year and the payment accordingly. And then year 2, it reverts back to the standard rate and payment through the life of the loan. In a 2-year rate buy down, the interest rate is 2% less than it would have been for the first year, 1% less than it would have been for the second year, and then it reverts back to the standard rate and payment on year 3 through the life of the loan. Let's look at the chart and we can see how it works. Okay, so a disclaimer on the temporary rate buy down examples. I'll tell you, there's no easy way to illustrate this without showing a real starting rate. Now in this case, I'm using a hypothetical made up number. This is not based on any specific scenario. This is just to illustrate how a temporary rate buy down works. As you're watching this video, at whatever time you're watching it, just think in your mind whatever the average going rate is going to be our hypothetical starting rate. A 1-year temporary rate buy down, hypothetical average going rate was 6.5%, right? We know that's going to be changing. If somebody were enjoying a 1-year temporary rate buy down, you can see the first year would be 1% less. Year 2 moving forward would be back to the standard rate. Whereas we go to a 2-year rate buy down, you can see at the same starting rate, the rate is 2% less for the first year, 1% less for the second year, and then years 3 going forward, it reverts back to the standard rate. So we can see in both of these examples, these are really great options that help a buyer with the affordability challenge in buying a house in today's real estate market. Every situation is different. Everybody looks at these differently, so it's not a one-size-fits-all. If I can be of help to you or someone that you know, all my contact information is in the description below. And if you hadn't already, like and subscribe. It really helps. Thanks.